Hello, good evening, and welcome to the LFC Daytrippers Transfer Agenda Show. I'm your host, Keith, and I'm joined tonight by Gav and Grizz. How are you, lads? Gav, while you're having your swig there, I'll interrupt you. How are you?
I'm great. I'm in great form. I just realised the season's only about fucking 3 weeks away, which is deadly. And yeah, there's loads of news tonight. Absolutely loads of it. And then we have giveaways and we have all sorts of stuff going on. So it's a good one tonight, I have to say.
No, I can sense it. I can feel it in my
Yeah,
bones.
so can I. So can I.
Grizz, what about you? How are you feeling?
Absolutely fantastic. It's much cooler today, I can report.
Delighted.
Humidity is
Delighted.
down. It's absolutely pissing it down outside. It's a proper monsoon, but it means that I don't need a bandana. And I'm good.
That's-
I'm cool as a cucumber. I'm cool as a cucumber today. No need for a bandana today.
Aaron asks straight off the bat, where's the bandana as well?
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, it's lovely
it's a
too.
pity.
You won't see us. You won't see any sweat dripping off my bald head today.
But that's a shame. I think we all
I
enjoyed
mean,
it. I think
yeah, no, I think there was a few freaks out there that actually got a kick out of that yesterday.
Well, we've
All the other
190
coaches.
odd people watching, and I think the majority of them were to see you in a bandana. So I'm worried that we might see a drop off, but hopefully not, because as Gav touched on, I think we could have an action packed show tonight. This transfer agenda show, what we do for anyone that's only tuning in, we tend to talk about Liverpool transfers, Premier League, and European, but we actually do have an awful lot of stuff that we can get through tonight that I think may just be Liverpool related. So it could be a nice show. So we're going to be talking about some outgoings, how we see them going. We're going to be joined by a Watford fan as well later on to talk Ismaeli Sarr. And we might have a little bit of news on another incoming possibly, but we'll talk about that later. I want to start off with something. Gav, I'm going to come to you. Something that sort of irked me a little bit was, did you see the nonsense that Norwich were coming out with when, Liverpool getting called bad businessmen because we didn't inform them that we wouldn't be bidding anymore for Jamal Lewis? Have you read any of that crap that came out?
I looked it up a little bit, and listen. Norwich aren't upset with Liverpool. Norwich are upset with Norwich, and I think that's fairly. I think that's fairly easy to spot, Keith. Like, Liverpool don't have to tell Norwich that they're coming back with another bid or not. They don't have to. Liverpool went in and gave a bid of, was it £10 million?
10 million, yeah.
And Norwich went, no, we want 15 and it'll be palatable. And Liverpool went, okay, and that's it.
Yeah.
It'd be like me going into a shop and saying, have you got a certain fucking brand or something? And they go, no, we don't. And then we go, all right, and walk out. But I'll definitely let you know when I'm coming back. Of course you know. And
Yeah.
the biggest problem Norwich have here is that if they sell Jamal Lewis for anything less than £15 million, right, he is going to go fucking apeshit, right?
Yeah.
Because he's going to turn around and go, hold on, why didn't you let me go to Liverpool for that? So they've made an arse of this, and I've seen people saying that their executive is revered as much as Michael Edwards is. Well,
Yeah.
he's made an absolute tit of this. If he'd taken 10 million, couple of million add-ons, and possibly a sell-on clause or some sort of clause with regards to appearances or winning leagues or winning European Cups or winning trophies, he would have easily made his 15 million quid. But now he's sitting there with a player that has to be unhappy. And is not going to get a move now to a club that's anywhere near our level, I don't think.
Yeah, no, it's true. And Grizz, as Gav touched on there about the chief exec, I think his name is Stuart Webber. He was part of our team when Kamoli was there, and there was a lot of reports saying, Michael Edwards has met his match. Liverpool can't go in and bully, and it's just backfired something terrible on them, hasn't it? And it's, you feel for the lad, but
Yeah, no. Definitely feelings for the kid, because his heart was set. He was adamant that he was coming to Liverpool. He even begged, sort of made a last minute plea, sort of to take less wages. We had a deal agreed with him for peanuts, man, in this day and age. And they tried to be clever. I mean, it's actually what people sometimes accuse us of being, sort of clever. And when it backfires on us, and then our fans go mad, like, why don't we? Well, Norwich tried to be clever, but he messed with the wrong man in Edwards. I mean, Edwards, has always got tricks up his sleeve, and he's proven so many times to have you know, equally talented or even possibly better alternatives lined up. So look,
Yeah.
if you don't want to deal with us, no problem, fair play. We'll go elsewhere. We'll take our business elsewhere. But then don't cry about it. It was your fault. We gave you first option. I don't care what anyone says. Jamal Lewis was the first option. The first bidder in for
Agreed.
Jamal. And yes, we did try to take advantage of the relegation factor, etc. We thought they might need some money. They'd be happy. The player only wants us, demands that he wants us. We usually tend to play on players' emotions as well, in terms of players' emotions towards the current clubs. All big clubs do. We're not the only ones to do that, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it didn't work. And we thought, okay, well, we've got someone who's equally or possibly better than you. We can get him for under 12 million. Let's go. And it's a bit strange, it's a bit weird. They're crying, but it's whatever.
Yeah.
We won't even get they won't get a response from us or anything. I mean, who they're talking to? Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
But
And I
that's
think
it. They're
that's
just
one of
talking
the
to themselves.
yeah.
They're talking to themselves.
They are talking to themselves because. So let's just get this straight before we move on. Norwich reject the bid for Jamal Lewis from Liverpool, okay, and Liverpool don't say anything else after that, and they go and sign somebody else. And Norwich are upset because Liverpool didn't tell them if they were going to make another bid or not.
Yeah.
So
That's
basically,
the gist of it.
So to translate it, Norwich rolled the dice on an extra, possibly £3 million when you work out add-ons and stuff like that, and it didn't work. That's
Yeah.
it, isn't it?
That's it.
Simple,
Exactly.
really.
Yeah. Okay.
It's backfired on them. I don't like to see small clubs, and it's not a dig at Norwich, a small club. Traditionally they're not a big club. I hate seeing them getting screwed over, but I think there was a bit of naivety and a bit of arrogance maybe about them. Like thinking that Liverpool would be held over a barrel. If that, and it sort of wakens everybody up a bit that Liverpool aren't going to be messed about with. Do you know what I mean? Like, so Grizz, if it comes to further negotiations, teams probably won't take the piss as much, whether they're buying or selling. Like, Liverpool have acted fast and decisively,
Oh,
so it
yeah.
can only be good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And that's part of the strategy. We're geniuses, man. Our guys in charge of us, especially Edwards and Cole, they are geniuses. They have enabled us to reach where we are because of their, the cleverness and sharpness. And Norwich have messed themselves up because, as Gav says, they need to sell for 15 million plus now for it to make any sense to the lad or to their fans or anything, and clubs will know that. Clubs will absolutely know that. Clubs will know to sort of give them, mediocre offers as well and see how they go. Because as I said, when we had agreed terms with Jamal Lewis, they're not going to keep three left backs. How the hell are they going to have three left backs in the Championship? So yeah, they're stuck, and that's why they're crying. But we move on, and I think you're right. I agree. Again, I agree with you. We've made we've set a marker in the window in the market. Like, listen, clubs like Man United, clubs like Man City, clubs like Arsenal may be desperate. Chelsea, desperate, but we're not desperate. We will work within our structure, at our pace, and our speed.
Yeah, I
It's
think,
true. Yeah.
Sorry, Keith. I think the thing, like Grizz mentioned something there, that Jamal Lewis was definitely first choice, and I've seen people anyway saying, stuff like, oh, Liverpool went and duped Norwich, and at the same time they were actually looking at Tsimikas as first choice. They use Norwich as a smokescreen. You don't use anyone as a smokescreen in a £12 million deal. You know what I mean? This isn't 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 million. It's a £12 million deal. But to me, I don't know if Grizz agrees or you agree, Keith. To me, I'd say they were both very highly rated by Liverpool, heavily scouted, watched, and there was probably pros and cons for both, as there would be. And they probably looked at Jamal Lewis and went, Premier League experience, we'll edge towards that. And that probably just tipped them ahead of Tsimikas, because from what I've seen of Tsimikas, he reminds me a little bit of Robertson, being honest, the style of play, the way he'll jump into a tackle, he's not afraid to get forward, he roams forward, he rampages forward. So maybe it was just a case of we're making this bid, and if we have to go an extra 2 million on the other fella, we will. You know what I mean? I don't know if Grizz or you agree with that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, listen, one thing people kind of fail to understand is we're such a powerful attraction now, right? That we always tend to agree deals, not deals, but sort of we always get an idea from the player first. What's the situation? And we kind of get in their heads and make sure we are their first choice. So situations like this, we can react quickly and sharply. And we've done it before. We know we've done it before, and we've done it with, so many players, and we're doing it again. We literally are playing with clubs' minds. From a non-eventful, quiet window, this is going to be, in my opinion, a very exciting and very, very exciting, something to look forward. There's actually going to be a transfer window of note, this one, in terms of excitement. And because, I mean, we talk about sort of, being dominating and all powerful in terms of negotiations situations. We are the top dogs. People want to come to us. Agents are throwing players at us left, right, and center. And we're saying, no problem. We'll consider your player, but hey, you've got to tell your club and we're only willing to pay this much. And if so, then we talk. Otherwise, don't waste our time. I mean, it might come across arrogant, but hey, this is a hardline business, cutthroat business, and we're at the top to stay. And this is the kind of stuff we're going to do now.
Even more so with the COVID stuff going on, a loss in revenue, regardless of what it is. What was very hardline has just doubled down now, I think, when it comes to this window. I think there will be people bought and sold, but I think people will... The margin of error and the leverage you're going to get over people, I think, is vastly reduced because of the circumstance we're in.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the market will be funny this time because we spoke about it the other night. So many teams are going to be just having fire sales, looking to get rid of players, and it will change how teams are going to act in it. I think Jamie has a point there on the screen, Jamie Home, with the news of Thiago tonight. He thinks it might mean not buying an attacking forward. With no AFCON, we might not prioritise it. What do you think of that now? I know we're going to discuss Sarr later on. Can you see that being something? Do you think that the news that's broken could alter how Liverpool are thinking, or is this more of a chance that's after coming along and Liverpool will still look to do business in other areas as well?
Well, I think Riz has told me that under no circumstances is he talking about Thiago until we get 300 likes on this show. So
excellent stuff. We're on 129 at the moment.
Now we did let Grizz unblock Seb the other night on 225. What are we on at the moment?
Yeah, 129.
Right. Well, let's get to 300 and we go Thiago mental. How does that sound?
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. But on Jamie's point, I've been of the opinion that it's a left back, a centre back, an attacking forward, in that order. An attacking forward, they're all bleeding attacking the forwards. But an attacking option in that order this summer, and the midfielder will be a bonus. And I called it me being greedy. So I think I still think it'll be all right.
Yeah, still think I'm of the same opinion. I think we're going to get 4 through the door. So fingers crossed. Now we might see some action.
I'd say, yeah. I think without touching Thiago, because we want those 300 likes first, but without, but in regards to respond to Jamie's point, I really think the wide forward or attacker really depends on the kind of bids we get for Divock Origi. Yeah, I really do. I literally think it's going to be one in, one out in that situation, just for that particular sort of spot. That's just my opinion at the moment. That's just my opinion at the moment. Yeah.
Do you think if Origi stays, you're looking at another forward regardless of if Origi stays, you're looking at another forward regardless. Yeah, correct.
I don't think so.
Do you know? So you think it's actually one out, one in?
Yeah.
Because
I think at this stage where if Origi, we don't get, as I said, we did get 17 million bid from Villa.
Yeah.
I've heard in as well.
Lazio's the room. That's not any information from my part. I'm not kill it, but I've read Lazio are interested in as well, which would be brilliant. You know, the more interest, the more we can sort of expect a higher fee. But my personal opinion, this is nothing, no info or nothing. This is personal opinion. I think the wide attacker, stroke forward, or whatever you want to call him. I think it depends on the sale of Divock Origi solely. I think the sale of. I mean, but this is it. This is the beauty of it, Gav. We have got things to work with. We have got players for sale to work with. We've got assets, or deadwood, as we'd like to call them. Right? We've got deadwood to play with, and I think the other positions, like for example the centre back. So let's just say Lovren money has been spent on the left back, right?
Yeah.
Do you both agree?
Yeah.
Or we all agree, right?
Well, it's in a simplistic term, yeah.
In a simplistic way, you know what I mean. So, and we all agree centre back is priority next.
Yeah.
So you're gonna remember we have incoming sales of Grujic, Wilson, and Shaqiri. Now I think 3 of those sales, and I'm not even counting Carragher's. And you mentioned a few others.
I was going to say that. Yeah, I was going to say, like, we can move on and look at the sort of outgoings. Because I know what you're saying, Grizz. You're looking at Wilson, you're looking at Grujic, and you're looking at Shaqiri. And if Origi was to be thrown into that, you'll get big bucks from that. But you might get enough money from down the back of the sofa as well, from the likes of Karius and Larouche and all these other guys in the squad, Ojo, Ajaria, you know, all these lads that, you know, 3 million here, 3 million there, 4 million, 6 million. That pays for let's say, I won't mention he who should not be mentioned for another 89 likes, but because we're on 211 at the moment.
If we get to 300, right, and someone comes on and says, Grizz, please unblock me because I'm sorry. And Grizz agrees to it. What's the target? Is it 600?
Oh, I'll be heavy tack, I think, at that stage.
I think your man got off lightly the other night on 225.
He done well, but he set a precedent, you know what I mean? And precedent
exactly.
is now being
Listen,
set.
he was brave. He done it. You know, fortune favours the brave.
Yeah, he was like the fella going for the high offer on the chase, wasn't he? He just said, fuck it, I'll go for it. You know what I mean?
That's it.
So.
That's it.
But you make a good point there, Keith. I mean, see, everyone automatically talks about Shaqiri, Wilson, Origi. Who else is the guys? Grujic. Everyone talks about these are the guys that go in. Possibly even Brewster. We maybe touch on that. Possibly, I wouldn't rule out a sale. We don't want to loan out players this window. I
think he's an exception.
Yeah, no problem. We can discuss that. I'm open to discuss that. But okay, just quickly finish this point about what he said about the back end players, sort of the ones we've forgotten about, the likes of Ojo Ejaria, Karius,
Nat Phillips.
You know, I can't see him sticking around. Herbie Kane.
Right, you're not going to get much dough for them,
but Keith, if we get, let's say, 15 million, 20 million max, we get for those combined 4 or 5 players that we've said, right? That's your centre back.
Yeah,
exactly. A very decent centre back you could get.
And that's sort of where I was going to on that, you know, without even touching on the 1 in, 1 out sort of element of it. If you got rid of those players, but the problem we have in this market is nobody's rushing to buy these players.
No.
And that's, you know, and where I wanted to go as well is, do you think, and again, without being too simplistic, the fact that Liverpool are being paid out on the whole of their Premier League money, does that alter their transfer plans? Do you think, Gav, will come to you? Does that change how Liverpool look at the transfer market, or would it been taken into account in any way, or is it a boost?
I think it's a boost to what the outlook looked like in April or May. I think it's definitely a boost because let's be honest about it. April, it was just like football and never come back. It's finished, you know. Nobody's going to pay money to watch it. Nobody's, you know, there's no point in paying because you won't be watching anything. It's not coming back. But like, listen, it's great news that we're getting fully paid out on what rightfully should be paid for. You know, Liverpool have provided one of the best Premier League seasons you've ever seen and should be paid handsomely for it. But people think like, oh, we have the 175, you know, let's go out and fucking go mad, you know, let's start meeting loads of players in Blackpool and doing all sorts of deals. But it's not how it works because you have a squad of, you've probably 30, 40 professional footballers at that club at the moment and they all have to be paid. Doesn't matter whether you're playing football or whether there's no one in the ground or, sponsors don't want to pay and TV want their money back. They all have to be paid, and they've all been paid. So within that 175, I don't know, 130 of it could be committed to players' wages, the general running of the club, bonuses that we've spoken about on numerous occasions. So I think instead of Liverpool getting hammered this summer because of what's happened with a pandemic and money being rebated, the hammer isn't so bad. I'd go that far. To look at it and think we've got 175 for winning the league or whatever, finishing the season in whatever positions we finished and what rounds we've got to in cups or whatever else, I think it's a little bit naive to think that, listen, everything's fucking sound now. You know what I mean? Because it's not. We've like we spoke about the other day, we are paying out and will pay out huge bonuses while losing money every single time we play a football game. You know, where from all different areas, not just people going through the gate, but people spending money when they go through the gate and before they go through the gate.
Yeah.
So just looking at it, I think it puts Liverpool in a much healthier position with regards to COVID. But having said that, it's still, for me, a bit of a treacherous market. And, it's the uncertainty, Keith. Like, let's put it this way, in simplistic terms, right? We don't know what's going to happen here, Keith. Liverpool could go out and throw down 150 million quid on 2 players tomorrow, right? Whoever they may be, or 3 players, and everything seems rosy in the garden. Sure, we got our 175, and we signed them up to all these deals and bonuses and stuff like that, and COVID comes back. Okay?
Yeah.
And we're in the middle of October and the whole place goes into shutdown. And trust me, Keith, if it goes into shutdown or lockdown for a second time, it won't be phase 1, phase 2. It'll be like nothing fucking happens here for a good couple of months before we even contemplate people on the streets, never mind the football matches. So it's a very difficult situation because of the uncertainty in the future. That's my big thing. So it's I don't read too much into the 175 million, I'm being honest with you.
I know what you're saying, but what I'd look at it again touches on something we spoke about, where who said Liverpool don't have money? It's this whole argument that Liverpool are skint and don't have money. What I'm reading from the 175 is that it's sort of Liverpool are just holding fire and seeing what happens with that, and that's come in. So that's money through the door. They're not going to give anything like, if they give 30 million. That could be the money that frees up a luxury signing of a midfielder that we'll talk about in 64 more likes. But that could be what opens up, that we were sort of sell to buy. And loads of people have a problem with sell to buy. I personally don't. Once you're not having to sell your best players, that's fine with me. If we're selling all the likes of the players we can talk about, Carragher does still get linked away, for example, and you still see between 5 and 6 million for them. If we got 5 or 6 million for Loris Carragher, we'd be doing great.
We'd be laughing.
That's what I mean. Like, someone will pay that for a goalkeeper that, he's not great. You know what I mean? But it's still.
But even just before we go on to these players, like, people are saying there, the Nike money, like Jay Cahill says the Nike money as well, and it's people are talking about. Well, in particular, the Nike money isn't going to land with us, not now.
Yeah,
but they're not turning up and going, here's your money. They'll pay it at the end of the season. They pay a little bit up front now, but you get it throughout the season, and the 20% on sales you won't see until a year from now. It's just not happening. Kevin Sullivan says it's not 175 million from zero. It's 30 million more than we were estimating. But you see, the thing is, like, look, a lot of people. The 3 of us here, we own property or we rent property or whatever, right? And a lot of people in the chat own or rent property, right? If I said to you today, listen, do you want to buy that house over there? Now, we don't know what way this COVID is going to go. The economy could crash. You could fucking end up out of a job. You could, and this is, again, very simplistic, but, and you could struggle to fucking pay your mortgage. You wouldn't. You'd hold your money. Your money. Now, I'm not saying don't spend anything, but you would be a little, the cautious side will come out in you. And listen, accountants are always fucking cautious. And no matter how many times people say, if Klopp wants him, he gets him. There's an accountant fella sitting there going, listen, the outlook here is we're still not, people think COVID is gone. It's not. We're just waiting to see if it comes back. That's all we're doing. And you've seen the damage it's done in 4, 5, 6 months, and it can do it again. And I'm not surprised. Liverpool and others are being cautious in what they're doing. It's the right thing to do. I'm being honest with you.
Yeah. Darren Dunbar puts a good point in the chat there that Liverpool would have been expecting big money from a summer tour as well, which hasn't happened.
Yeah.
So they're losing money all over the place. And it's not just Liverpool, it's all teams. Rajiv had a comment earlier on about Norwich, being a well-run club, but they just dropped the ball here. Clubs do prepare for a lot of things, but they couldn't prepare for the pandemic that happened and the implications of that. And what you said there, Gav, about it's not the money. It's not like it's just a match day money. It's everywhere. It's coming from all sorts. So for a club like Liverpool to be hit and affected, it's going to trickle down to everybody. And that's going to affect people buying their players, and that's the way we have to accept that. It's not going to be a case of Liverpool are being cautious. We're owned by sports. What would it be? Venture capitalists or something like that, right? So they're businessmen, and they'll take a gamble. That's how they bought us. They took a gamble to get the asset. They're not going to gamble then while they have that asset. They build it up. So they're not going to be foolish with their money, and they are going to be, never mind accountants, like proper businessmen. You'll have some owners that'll throw money willy-nilly without even going near the oil-rich owners, like that it doesn't really count for. But everybody is going to be cautious with their money now this summer. So I just think Liverpool will be, as we said, they'll be cautious of what they're doing, but I think we're going to start seeing the movement now. The dominoes are starting to fall all over the place, I think, Riz. Would you agree that we're starting to see moves, and we're starting to see deals, and we're starting to hear of deals, not just at Liverpool, but at other clubs that will...
Absolutely, yeah. I was going to say more hear of deals now, as opposed to, we've discussed it, is not only us, we're discussing Liverpool at the moment, obviously, but every club is being cautious. Every club is watching how to maneuver out or into this market. The biggest example we've seen of the last couple of weeks is this Sancho saga. We were absolutely adamant, everyone, that Sancho's done to United, 120 million. It's all about how they're going to give them money. But, they've shut themselves when they've realized we've got to put 120 million.
Yeah.
God knows what's going to happen, as we've all discussed, as Gav's put, we don't know if we're going to get a full season next season. There is, but again, I'll come back to it that the best run clubs, or to use Gav's example, the best individuals that have planned their finances really well will be in a position to take advantage of a property. Let's say we were using the property analogy, to take advantage of a cheap property that they can go in for. Same with us. I've always said, as soon as this COVID was over, whatever, it's a buyer's market. There is bargains to be had. And, we've got the best men at the helm to look for bargains and try to get bargains. And, let's see what happens.
Yeah, it's true. And Chris Prosser throws in there that Klopp wants his signings early. I think he'll just probably, they'll do their best to get them as early as possible. But this year might be the exception.
Yeah, definitely. I think this year is a bit different. We talk about unprecedented times. Well, unprecedented times equal, different measures, different theories, or different ways of attacking the market. You're right. Klopp does like to get them in early, but we're not desperate to signings to come in and make an impact. We can think ahead. We can, so we can delay getting our signings in as long as it's the right player, and think about the next 2 years, as opposed to, look, he's got to make an impact this season. We've got to plan for next season. I think we're very well planned and sorted for one more season with the current squad, in my opinion. Just, we just need one or two, and we'll get that. But yeah, there is definitely a gap in the market where we could exploit, and we're trying to.
Exactly, and like all clubs will be, But if we look at, just seeing a name up there, Dylan Trewin, Awani as well is another player we forgot. But if we were to look at some of the outgoings, right, that are in the Liverpool squad, do we think, Gav, I'll come back to you, do you see Origi going? Do you see them selling him or Shaqiri, or is it one or the other, or is it just Shaqiri for you that could go? What way do you see the front line?
Sorry, before I answer that, there's just loads of stuff coming in the comments. I'm looking after the comments tonight, and it's so hard to keep up. Owen Bourke asks, when is the golf pod with Andy starting? We're working on that. It'll be a one-off, I'd say, but we're working on it. Somebody asked, was I on Bud Light? Have a fucking word with yourself, will you? Bud Light, stop it. But going back to Origi, do you know what? I had an idea in my head, and Grizz has completely and utterly thrown me by what he said, and I'm actually coming around to, and I don't like saying this, but I'm coming around to Grizz's thinking, and that very rarely happens, because he is the Pakistani Rob Gutman. Look at the head on him. He's twirling his beard there all night. He's the Pakistani Rob Gutman. But Origi, I think Grizz is right. I have to say, after thinking about it now for the last 10, 15 minutes or whatever, I think Origi has to go in order for you to bring a forward in. I don't, because people keep forgetting about Minamino, and I think that's the big thing in this. Minamino is a forward player, and he will be a forward player for us. He will feature across the front three. Shaqiri, I don't think he sees him as a front player. I think he sees him as a midfield player, and possibly in a system where it's a 4-2-3-1. Where he probably works best. So I think Grizz is right. I think Origi has to go to bring someone in. Am I open to that idea? Absolutely, because Divock Origi doesn't suit the way Liverpool play football. And you can never forget his goal away to Newcastle, the Champions League semi-final, the Champions League final, every time he plays Everton. You can't forget that. But I think Divock Origi scores against Everton in, was it December? When we beat him 5-2.
Yeah.
And I don't think he scores again until the last day of the season. And I could be wrong. Right? So he does not suit us unless we're playing teams that play a high line and we can bash balls in behind him while he's down the centre. He doesn't suit us. I'd be open to Divock Origi leaving the club and bringing someone in that suits us a lot more. That's just being me, but I think Grizz is right. I think you need Origi to leave in order to bring somebody in. My thinking before that was, you bring somebody in and you know that's another option for the front three, and it's a proper backup for the front three. But the backup for the front three is Divock Origi, and I was forgetting Minamino. So I think Grizz is right. I think you may have to see movement from an Origi transfer in order for us to add something to the forward line, and I think it's the right move to make. To be honest,
I think we have to assess the market overall, especially when getting another forward, because we discussed last Tuesday that the incoming forward has to be on a level or just below the level we've got at the moment, and we know Origi is not on the level below. So we've got to keep an eye on the Sancho situation. Because if Sancho stays, and I repeat, if Sancho stays for another season, I know we're in for him. And we have spoken to his people as well. But
he goes to United.
We could not, no way do a deal. But what I'm saying is we've got to keep an eye on it, Gav. Just in case
absolutely.
It doesn't
but
happen.
I think.
You see, so therefore, if that deal goes through, then we possibly gamble for another forward. Then we go for a forward maybe, because if someone like, we were going to mention Sarr later, comes available now, we gotta take a risk at some point. So it's going to be a long. What is it? 8 weeks left.
I don't think it's a massive risk if Origi leaves and you bring someone in, because you're only looking at you're only playing Origi in. You're only playing him in games that, most of the time, mean fuck all. And I go back to the time me and Grizz sat in a pub in London watching Newcastle travel to Anfield and play Liverpool, and Origi stank the place out. And ended up going off injured. Bobby Firmino comes on. Mane scores. Bobby Firmino comes on, sets up Mane for a second, sets up Salah for a third, and he's just mesmeric for the whole time he's on the pitch and shows the difference. That way. People are calling for us to drop this Origi talk. They've hit 300 likes, the fuckers.
Yeah, but Origi is doing well, so let's go to 400 for Thiago then.
No, you can't do that to people. That's false advertising.
Yeah,
that's not
promise
fair.
Is a promise. A promise
is a promise.
So, Grizzly, let's go to you. Thiago.
Social Liverpool's Twitter went mad today, didn't they? Because the main man from Bayern Munich in terms of media journalism, Christian Falk said today that we've made the first move towards Thiago. Actually, it wasn't Christian Falk, it was his colleague, I believe. I don't know how to pronounce his word, but basically these guys are the equivalent of our very own James Pearce and Paul Joyce on that level, especially when it comes to Bayern Munich. And they've sort of came out with, we've made contact with them, with Bayern. In fact, Christian Falk later on even came out with a figure that Bayern Munich aren't willing to accept anything below 30 million euros. That's actually correct. He's got the figure right. But what I found out today as well is we've actually made an improved offer. So we made an offer for them before, and they said, "Look, we need time to think about it. We'll discuss it later. Let the Champions League sort of get clear." But for my information, we've made an improved offer. Now I don't know if that's because of other clubs showing interest. We've made an offer of £22 million. I don't know how that works in euros or whatever, but we've made a 22 million pound bid for them, improved bid for them, and Liverpool are confident that for my guy, that they're confident of getting the deal done. So I believe my guy. He's told me bits in the past that have happened every single time, so I've got no reason to believe him. But this is it. This is it. So then a lot of questions arise that if Thiago is to come in, what happens? Do we sacrifice a forward? And that's where I thought, Gav, that for that to happen, Origi would have to leave, because I truly believe we can raise the finance. I think we've got the money for Thiago. It's not a problem. We're just negotiating. There's no, I don't think there'll be much complication. Once the Champions League is settled, we'll hear much more of it. I think thousands asking me why the local journals are denying it. Ask them, don't ask me. Don't know why they're denying it. I don't know why, but when Christian Falk says there's been talks and there's interest, it's fair to say that there's been talks and interest, and I know that for a fact. I think I revealed it on our show about 4 weeks ago. That we're in touch with Thiago. We're in talks, advanced talks, but talks stalled when sort of the Champions League sort of restarted, and we will conclude the deal 100%, I believe, after the Champions League.
Safiso says 22 million and an air fryer. I'd take that. If I was born, I'd take that. Especially if it's a 4 or 5 litre air fryer. The amount of chips you can get out of that. By the way, quick tip on the air fryers. It's ages since we've spoken about them. Lads, go down to shops and buy the chicken balls, the frozen chicken balls in the bag, and stick them in the air fryer. Unbelievable. But listen, there was somebody else there said, Phil Banda says 22 million is an insult. Thiago's worth 30. It smacks of a 25 million pound deal, doesn't it? And I think 25 million was the number very early on in the game, wasn't it? 25 million pound. Oh, I think it started on 35 million and then it went to 25.
Just one other thing. Sorry, Gav. That is the figure that I was told we're willing to go up to. So the fact that we've improved, because our initial offer was 20 million plus add-ons. They wanted 27 million pound up front. They want it all in one fee, and we offered 20 million plus installments. Okay. We've now raised the offer to 22 million and installments. As you said, I can see it happening, that 25 million being the figure that we both come to an agreement.
Dan J just asked there, and so I feel like I'm taking over from Keith, but I'm watching these comments because they're bashing down. They're just lashing down, so I'm trying to keep up with them.
Yeah.
He says, Grizz, you and everyone else said that there'll be no discussion with Bayern over Thiago until the Champions League is finished. So what suddenly changed?
Exactly. I don't know. I can't answer that. I agree, and I've said it, and I'm the one who's banged on about that we were told. We were told to come back.
Surprised at that?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. We were told to come back after the Champions League. No more discussions. But I don't know what's happened, and I suspect, or we're just speculating now, that the interest from PSG, the interest from Man City, maybe has speeded up the process. I don't know. But we've definitely made an improved bid already.
Naval Fairhouse says United will batter you a lot next season. Glory, glory, Man United. You couldn't batter a fish, for fuck's sake. You stop
But
it.
welcome,
But
welcome to the show. I
and
hope you subscribe.
and stay with us. You can win a Liverpool jersey if you're subscribed. Naval, that sort of shit doesn't work with us, brother. We'll have a great crack with it though. Go on, Keith.
I forget what I was going to say there because Naval's little introduction there. Fair play to him. What I was thinking was, Bayern, Grizz touched on a good point there, saying, maybe it was the interest from Man City and PSG that have forced Liverpool to maybe step up to the hockey and make their move a bit early. It could be that, but as was it Phil Banda said, 22 million was an insult. He's in the last year of his contract. It's
not an insult to us.
You can't be too. He's not worth more than that. We know that.
We know that. It's very much like the Jamal Lewis scenario, but opposite ends of the age, if you know what I mean. Like in terms of we're going to pay what we're worth. We're going to offer what we think he's worth. But again, we hold the ace. We hold the cards because Thiago is apparently hell-bent on Liverpool FC and Liverpool FC only.
That's what I was getting to, Grizz, because it's a very, very similar. If people think Liverpool are lowballing Bayern for Thiago right with a year left in his contract, have a look back at Bayern Munich's negotiations for Sané or their pursuit of Leroy Sané, and they done the exact same thing. They got in his ear and said, right, he only wanted Bayern Munich. They got him on a cut price deal with a year late, and it was a lot more than what we'd get Thiago for. But then again, he is younger. But they done the exact same thing. Liverpool are going in there. They're waiting and waiting, in my opinion, and I don't know, but my opinion is they're waiting to see, and maybe other forces have forced them maybe to step up a bit and go for it, because it made sense to leave it till after the Champions League. But, things change and things happen that have maybe moved that agenda on. And at the end of the day, we don't really care if the bid has gone in. And people in the chat are saying, it's mixed reports. Some are saying that there's no bid, there is a bid, there's a second bid, it's a fourth bid. I don't care if once there's a bid, because that means Liverpool can deny it, or the Echo can deny it, and the local journalists can deny it. But there must be something there if Liverpool have officially gone into a bid and have officially started negotiations. So that to me, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm naive, but that to me says that there's something happening, and if he only wants us, I can see nothing other than Thiago signing for Liverpool.
It could be a case, and don't rule this out, and it could be just me, I'm on cans, so you never know what could happen. But it could be a case of if Thiago is that defiant on going to Liverpool, as has been made out in both the British and the German media, it could be a case of Thiago and his representatives going, listen, I want this done. I don't give a fuck how it's done, but I want it done. Yeah. And if you don't, I'll start kicking up a fuss here. And what happens? Bayern start losing value on him very quickly, because I want to go and I will go. And if you don't make it happen, we'll drag this out and I won't go over 25 or 30 million. I'll be walking away for 15, or I'll run down my contract and you get nothing. So you never know what's going to happen. And it's a bit like the Sancho stuff, like, it's imminent. The fuck, that transfer is imminent for about 8 or 9 days now. It's done. They've a full agreement with the player, even though they haven't spoke to his agent. That's another one. But the Thiago stuff, as Grizz understands, a £22 million bid, and I think it just smacks at 25 million. Announced possibly in the next. It will be announced in the next week or two, because there's only a week or two to go before the Champions League final anyway.
Yeah. That's true.
Oh yeah, Thiago will want to be straight after his Champions League campaign. He'll want his future sorted, and 100% Bayern will, because Bayern are like us, where they're such a brilliantly run machine. They want to know what's going on and what's happening. And listen, Bayern have put our name out there for a reason, or let it slip out there for a reason, because we're the only ones interested. They know they've got a player, not an unhappy player, but a player that is adamant that he's told them that I'm not. They basically gave him the offer that they offered him the contract that he wanted, and he said no to it.
Yeah.
So there's nothing they can do after that, And he sold his house. He's put his house on the market. He's adamant that he wants to come and play for Liverpool FC. Jurgen Klopp has 100% spoken to Thiago, and the reports are saying today that they've made their first official contact. I believe we've made official contact weeks ago. but we've made contact. Now it's been established. I think enough reliable sources have said there is interest and concrete interest there. Now it's just a matter of Liverpool, the small matter of Liverpool and FSG just agreeing a fee, and Thiago will be a Liverpool player, I believe.
Excellent, excellent. I want to park Thiago for a few minutes, lads, if you don't mind, then we can come back to it, because we're going to be joined now by Jacob Culshaw from 90 Minutes, who's a fan of Watford and has kindly agreed to come on to talk about Ismaeli Sarr. So, Jacob, how's it going? Thanks for coming on to the show, giving us your time. It's great to have you on, first of all, and to get a Watford perspective. You know, it hasn't been a great season for you.
How's it going, Grace? I was just going to say, pleasure having me on, guys. It's obviously a great podcast. I've listened to it, even as a Watford fan, but keep up the great work, and obviously a pleasure to be on. Cheers.
Thanks very much. It's been a turbulent season for you boys, hasn't it? You know, managerial changes. You know, it was a tough one because they were an established Premier League team and then just sort of fell through the trapdoor really in the last year. But it's one that, you know, when it does happen, the vulture starts circling. And in this case, you know, we're heading the vulture pack at the moment. Ismaeli Sarr has been linked with Liverpool. It's been linked for a lot of money. Give us your take on the news of the links to Liverpool and on the player himself. And do you think he's someone that would suit the way Liverpool play?
Yeah, I think you were spot on. As soon as there's a relegated team, teams are going to be sniffing around those players. I mean, Robertson's the perfect example when Hull got relegated. So it was inevitable. What was really encouraging from a Watford perspective was Ismaeli did an interview with Senegal press, and you can read into as much as you will, but he basically outlined that if Watford want him to stay, he won't kick up a fuss. So that's kind of ruled out maybe the option of him forcing through a move. I think the potential that I see is if Liverpool come in with a bid that matches Watford's valuation, and I would see that in excess of 40 million pounds, then I think we'll see a deal done. We know Ismaeli's relationship with Sadio Mane, obviously both Senegalese internationals, both fantastic players, and Sarr someone who looks up to Mane. There was a report I was reading the other day saying that Sarr watches Mane on YouTube regularly before every game. So he looks up to him massively. So that could definitely be a factor in the deal. I just think it's all down to what bid comes in. Now, I'd be really disappointed to see Sarr go to a mid-table Premier League team. I'd love to see him go to Liverpool if he was going to leave. Of course, I'd want him to stay, but it would be disappointing if he moved on from Watford to a Crystal Palace, for example, who are interested as well. I think Liverpool would be the right step for him. He's good enough. And actually, when you put it in the context of this season as well, Sarr has been brilliant in, as you mentioned, a turbulent season at Watford. We've been through 3 head coaches, 4 if you include Hayden Mullins as well. We played some really negative football at times, and he's looked the constant threat. He glides past people for fun. He's a brilliant and big talent as well, and I think he'd be a great acquisition for Liverpool. Probably the only aspect I'm sure you guys will touch on it from a Liverpool perspective is the African Cup of Nations kind of angle with it. Obviously, he would probably be involved with the Senegal squad. This is all if buts and maybes, really. But I would, if he was going to move on from Watford, I'd like to see him go to a team like Liverpool. Put it that way.
It's a very interesting one for me. I think the African nations thing is a massive thing in it. You know, when you look at Salah, you look at Mane, you look at Naby Keita, already would be heading off to an African nations, and they will be 3 key players for us going into next season and beyond. There was a little bit of a story about Palace taking him on loan, Jacob, and looking to loan to buy, and I thought that looked like a phenomenal piece of business from the Crystal Palace end. Although I do agree with you, Watford are relegated, I get that, but Watford to Crystal Palace for me is just a sideways move. A, because it's Crystal Palace, and B, because Roy Hodgson will be our manager. Surely that's something that Watford aren't going to entertain a loan to buy.
It's a difficult one. I think for Sarr, I doubt it, to be honest with you. It'll either be a sell or he stays. I think for someone just on a separate point, Delafeu, for example, because he's had that long-term injury, probably the perfect deal for Watford is a loan with an option or a compulsory clause to buy. But I think with Ismaeli Sarr, it's a case of if a big bid comes in for him, he's 22 years of age, he's performed at Rennes, and everyone was thinking, can he make the step up into the Premier League? As we've seen, in a poor season at Watford, he's proven that he's good enough to play at that level. And I think he is at a European level, whether that's Europa League or Champions League. He deserves that step up after this season, I think. But will Liverpool pay a big sum of money, in excess of £40 million, I think, for a player who's only had one season in the Premier League? I'm not too sure. And again, that African Cup of Nation argument as well. I can't see Liverpool paying that money. Personally, anyway. In terms of the Palace deal, that's an interesting one. As you said, I wouldn't like to see him do that. I think it's a sideways step in his career. He might as well play at Watford and almost increase his value and see if we go up with him and then move on rather than go to Palace, in my opinion. But yeah, it is going to be an interesting one. It really, I don't think the player's going to force through the move. It is just a case of whether a team like Liverpool put in a bid that matches Watford's valuation. But there was a report today suggesting that Watford are not in the position to sell and are determined not to sell Sarr at the moment. But I think that's all talk. Yeah, sorry, Chris.
That was going to be my next question, Jakey. How you doing, pal? Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, man. Good.
I know I DM'd you about 3 a.m. in the morning. I'm so sorry.
Fucking, it's terrible.
Old habits die hard.
The only thing I have a problem with is bringing on a guy that good looking.
Thank you.
I think it's a disgrace, Chris, and I'll be having words with you when this
didn't
is
run
over.
this past the management.
All guests will now have to send in a headshot before we'll agree to have them on.
I'll tell you what, Grizz has got the best beard I've ever seen. So if you want to chuck the compliments back,
I was just telling Gav that. I was taking the piss out of him before. But Jacob, I was going to ask you two. Really make you work for your debut. I was going to ask you two questions. I was going to say, so your owners, and segue into what you was ended up saying. What are your owners like in terms of sort of negotiations? What kind of financial position is Watford in? And we know that you've got sort of the Decore, the star of your team, this Ismaeli Sarr, possibly Deulofeu. How many would you have to sell to balance? There's got to be a balancing of the books, right? So taking that into consideration. No, it's cool. Taking that into consideration, what are your owners? Do you think they'd be open to negotiation? What are they like? Because we know we drive a hard bargain, as Norwich found out. How would your owners be sort of in terms of negotiating?
I think it depends on the player, Grizz. I think with someone like Sarr, we will be looking for the best deal possible if we're going to sell, because we're under no pressure to sell, really, because we know the likes of Pereira, Deulofeu, I think Capu, Decore, they will all leave. And that we'll get some decent fees for them. So it really depends if those guys leave. Then we're under no pressure to sell. In terms of what the owners are like, the model at Watford is, in a weird way, on a small scale of Dortmund. We bring players in and then sell them on for big prices. The perfect example is Richarlison a couple of years ago when he went to Everton. And this is really reminding me of that deal, because there was no real rumours, and then we kind of expected him to move on. But obviously that Marco Silva factor at Everton was ultimately the reason he went, and we got almost £50 million for Richarlison. And I think even now we look like we've got a great deal out of that. So the Pozzos are known for getting a great deal. They bought Sarr for around £30 million. They all want to look to sell him on for 40, but they probably are under no pressure to sell at the moment. That doesn't mean there's not going to be departures in the summer. Of course, when a relegated team goes down, we've got some good players at Watford, and really, if you look at it on paper, we probably shouldn't have been relegated, in all honesty. So I think in terms of, just going back to your question, in terms of how the Pozzos is going to probably approach this transfer window, I think the stance will be Sarr isn't going to leave unless we receive an offer which is in excess of £40 million. And I know I keep repeating that, but I think that's where they're looking to aim at. And if they feel that the player wants to move, I think if it's Liverpool, he definitely would want to move, and the club feel the price is appropriate. And as I said before, I just don't know whether Liverpool would pay that amount of money for Ismaeli Sarr. Is he unproven to an extent? Yes. But I think he's shown enough this season that with better players around him, he can be an incredible player. He's a talent at the moment, but he can kind of form into a player with the right players around him and the right coach around him. And that's another point. I think Jurgen Klopp would get the absolute best out of Ismaeli Sarr. But yeah, in terms of what could happen, it just depends on what offers come in, I think.
I think
Jake,
the offer.
Go ahead, Gav.
I was just thinking there. I think the offer Liverpool should be going in with is Harry Wilson and some money.
Yeah,
and because Harry Wilson would just tear the Championship apart. He's the absolute epitome of a player that just sits in purgatory between the Championship and the Premiership for me. He was probably one of Bournemouth's best players.
Convincing someone like Harry Wilson to drop down again when he's kind of proved that he can perform.
Yeah, but
in
I think if you're looking at Sarr leaving and is Troy Deeney hanging around, I'm not too sure. You could sell Wilson as one of the main men at Watford, and saying to him, "We're going to put you on a 4-year deal." He's not in a loan limbo anymore. He goes in on a 4 or 5 year deal at Watford, and they aren't going to play him in the Championship and then try to sell him on. They're going to let him, if they get back up, which they've every chance of doing with the squad they have, if they keep most of it together, and add the likes of a Harry Wilson, he could come back into the Premier League and they go, "Listen, we're actually better than Bournemouth, and we've more ammunition than Bournemouth, and we've more ambition than Bournemouth," which isn't hard. But especially when you hold on to Eddie Howe for about 4 years too long. But I think, I know what you're saying is about him dropping down, but I think it could be a case of he dropped down to Derby, but it was a loan deal. He dropped down to Bournemouth, and just look what happened. But it was always a loan. He was always in limbo. I think him going to Watford on a permanent deal, and basically being told, "Listen, you're the replacement for Sarr, who was the big hope at Bournemouth." I think it could be the making of him, I'm being honest.
Yeah, really cool.
Can we maybe chuck in a name like Ajaria? I would take Ajaria to Watford, even that kind of player at Liverpool.
Is he not told about
in a swap deal?
Absolutely. I was just going to say, it wouldn't be Harry Wilson for me. It would be an Ajaria, an Ojo. Even, I mean, I know, your centre backs were sort of
Ajaria or Ojo. You might as well just pay the full transfer fee.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
in realistic terms,
they're more likely to Wilson. But just one last question for me, anyway, for Jake. He's going to feel like we've sort of rushed him all. Just as a player, obviously you see him week in, week out. I change my mind on him every night. Last night, I watched about 2 hours of YouTube on him, but not from his Watford days, but from his Rennes days, because I thought he played in a different position in Rennes, where he played off the left. You have predominantly been playing him off the right. Is that right? So what do you think his best position is? And B, do you think that's what appeals to us, the fact that he can play pretty much across the front three equally well?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, Grizz. This season, Sarr's been deployed in a couple of positions. I think his best position personally is right wing. I think when he's one-on-one with a left-back, as we've seen numerous times this season, he's got the pace to literally beat any left-back in the league, and that's no understatement. Even the reverse fixture, actually, at Anfield, I remember, I think it was Nigel Pearson's first game. Unbelievable performance. I was thinking, bloody hell, he's absolutely ripped the left-back here. But yeah, in terms of his best position, right wing is, I think, by far. We've played a 4-2-3-1 system. So what's been happening is Dean's been really isolated up top, and almost what happens is Sarr kind of is near him like a second striker at times. He's that quick, and his positioning is that good. He's a very clever footballer for 22, actually. But at times we've seen him this season being deployed as a striker, and that was under Kike, and that was when we were playing a 5-3-2. It was so negative, and that was massively frustrating because I don't think he can do a job there, Sarr, up front in maybe a 2. But I think either in a 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1 way, he's deployed as the right midfielder. I think that's his best position. In terms of what he can bring, as I mentioned, his pace, his trickery, and actually his finishing has improved as the season's progressed. I think it takes a little bit of time for these players who come over from the likes of Ligue 1 to really settle down and just find their feet and kind of adapt to the pace of the Premier League. I know that's a bit of a cliche that we hear on Match of the Day every week, but it does take time for players to adapt to the tempo of the Premier League. And I think the finish at home to Liverpool, I don't want to bring it up, that 3-0 win, when he chipped Alisson, I think that showed the maturity, how quickly from the start of the season to February time, it was an incredible finish for a boy of that age, just a cool as you like finish. And he's improved massively so over the season. I just think he's one of those players whose trajectory is only going to go up. But that's provided he's at the right place and at the right club and with the right coach. But where would he fit in at Liverpool? I think he would probably be the backup. I think if we're going to be completely honest, to Mane, Salah, Firmino. But
either of them, yeah.
From an outside perspective, watching Liverpool, I've always thought you're lacking something from the bench. I look at Origi, Minamino, And that's not to say those guys are poor level, but I think Sarr adds something a little bit different to those guys, something a bit unpredictable. And I think he'd be a fantastic addition if he was going to join Liverpool anyway. But whether he'd want to move to Liverpool to be an understudy, I don't know. I think he would jump at the chance myself, but whether that would be the right move, I'm not too sure. There's a lot up in the balance with Sarr at the moment, but certainly one thing's for sure, wherever he goes next, I think he'll do well as long as he's in the right environment.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. One thing I wanted to ask you, Jake, before we let you go was you mentioned about the asking price 40 million plus and the Richarlison deal, and they stuck to their guns and they got good money for Richarlison. But has the pandemic impacted not just Watford but the Pozzos with regard to Udinese? Is there any talk in among the fans or among the Watford journalists about okay, 3 years ago or 2 years ago, they were in a position of strength, but now not so much. Could you see a reduced fee or a player plus cash, as Gav was saying? Could you see that being more of an option now with the state of the current financial world?
Yeah, I don't personally. Watford kind of refrain from the player swap deals anyway because they've kind of got their own. It's fascinating if you read the scouting network at Watford. It's absolutely fascinating the amount of scouts we have. We don't really like to do these one-off swap deals. I can't remember the last time we did it. Might have been Udinese who did it a long time ago. But in terms of in terms of the pandemic market, I can't really see Sarr's price really changing from what it would be if it was just the normal market anyway. To be honest with you, he's 22 years of age. He's had a good season in the Premier League. He's played at Europa League level. Obviously that game against Liverpool, there's one performance anyone thinks of, it's that one. We've seen what he can do. I think because of his potential, his value will always be higher. I think had we had maybe another season in the Premier League, I'd even go as far as say his price would be at 60, 70. I really do believe that because I think he would kick on. But at the moment, as you said, in the current market, potentially knocks it down a little bit. I think we're looking at about £40 million for him. Now, whether Liverpool could maybe, or another team could, I think Liverpool are probably the only team that could afford him, to be honest with you, unless it's a loan deal, but could negotiate and maybe do a £35 million deal with add-ons. I think that's potential, or even just a £35 million deal. It would be interesting to see if Liverpool did chuck in a bit of that to see the reaction from the owners. But I do get the impression that they're going to play a hard game unless they get the offer they want to receive. But I don't think the actual current market will have much of an impact on Sarr's valuation, to be honest with you. But definitely, I think it could be a lot higher had he had another season in the Premier League.
No, I think you're expecting you should be expecting a bid from us. I think in the coming weeks from around about 35 million, from what I've been told as well. So I think it's one to watch. But I don't think you're right. I don't think we won't definitely not go over 40 million for him. You're right.
No. That'd be interesting. And as we said, it's definitely one to watch. Look, I want to thank Jake for coming on. Where can the people find you, Jake? 90 minutes,
so,
have we heard?
So I do a few videos in 90 Min and Grizz, and also WD18, which is a Watford fan channel, which I run. So if you can check that out, it'd be much appreciated. Thanks for having me on, guys.
No
Cheers,
problem
Jake.
at all. Thanks for giving us the time and giving us a bit of insight into reported Liverpool target Ismaeli Sarr.
Pleasure, guys. Take care.
Nice one, Jakey.
See you later, Grizz.
Jake.
See you in a bit.
Good luck. Now, that was Jake, Jake Culshaw from 90 Minutes, giving us a Watford angle. A lot of stick he got in the chat there.
It's only because he was very good looking.
A young, good looking fella, Justin Bieber at one stage.
One comment about, I was dying, but because he's a guest, I didn't want to sort of, we can handle it because we're tough old bastards. Yeah. Like one chat was telling he's waiting for Rick Astley to burst out in a song.
I didn't see that. I didn't see that. If I'd have seen that, I would have put it up. Listen, we always say Air Chat is a great mix of football knowledge and just mentalers, and we wouldn't have it any other way.
It's what we're all about, really, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So have you any more any more links that we want to talk about from a Liverpool transfer side of things?
I think we've covered most of them. The Thiago thing is big, the Sarr thing, there's a couple of other bits going around.
I think the Sarr things are later on in the window. We've got time to analyse. I think we will assess that.
I
said, it will depend on outgoings. But I think the Thiago news is outstanding highlight. But I think even before that, a centre back still comes in before that. Never going to give Sarr up. Yeah, the dogs were still brilliant.
Christopher Slater on in another
Yeah,
show.
Christopher
yeah.
Slee
Tremendous
he's very good at it, isn't he?
Yeah,
He is. He's very good.
fantastic.
But yeah, just a small thing before we probably end up or wrap up or whatever you guys have got planned. But I was just going to say that not only did I hear about the official talks or the bid, actually, from what I know, not talks, I'm talking bid for Thiago, is the talks for Kabak. We have made contact with Schalke, and it's just talks at the moment. But that's all I know at the moment with Schalke for the centre back that we mentioned a couple of weeks back as well.
That's right. Yeah, on the pulse, fingers on the pulse of these things we have.
Yeah, Stevie. LFC says I was too busy ordering me Chinese to notice that good comment. I fucking wasn't, you prick. I wasn't ordering anything. I'm actually being very good at the moment. It'll change at some stage, but I've been very good at the moment. Fans in grounds in September, apparently, says Antico. A couple of people have mentioned that. I believe it when I see it. And when it happens to be more. And then it'll be, it's you just have to wait and see. Yossi, we haven't seen Yossi in ages. How's Yossi? Yossi always playing guitar. He's sound. He says Jake would add some female followers to the Daytrippers. Shame he isn't a red. Come here. If Shawnee Lawson can't add female followers to the Daytrippers, nobody can. All right, nothing will. You know what I mean? We might as well.
Yossi underestimates my pulling power.
Yeah, well, I think
you've been on a lock raise, and I don't think our female stock has risen.
You want to trim the whiskers there, I think.
You'd be surprised. My DM's on fire.
Fire. No, I think we've covered most. I think people have enjoyed it. We had nearly 800. I think it was 800 people watching at one stage, which is great. I'm hoping they're all subscribing because they can't win if they don't subscribe. And
that's what we're going to come on to next. Is we've gone over our 3,000 subscribers, the magic mark.
Yeah, went over this morning.
We flew over it. We really have. So we've said all along, once we get over the 3,000, giveaway time.
Yeah.
So we're going to do a giveaway.
And
more to follow on that, is there? Or what do you want to say?
I'll let you know now. It's people still mentioning Bud Light. I wouldn't drink Bud Light. It was the last drink on earth. So the giveaway. So we said when we get to 3,000 subscribers, we're going to give away a Liverpool jersey with if you want the name and number on the back, grand. If you want the badges on the sleeves, great. If you want the World Club Cup badge on the chest of it, absolutely fine. It's on us. So we've as Keith said, we've burst through that. It's been an amazing week. As a group that put stuff out on YouTube, but didn't really bother too much with it. We lash it out on YouTube. We've put a big effort into it over the last 6-8 weeks, and it's come back to us because the people have been brilliant in the support they've given us. We keep saying it, especially us three, about the chat. The chat is brilliant. It entertains me as much as actually doing the podcast, just reading the chat. But we've gone through the 3,000, so we are going to give away this jersey. So we're going to make it fairly simple for you, and we're trying to make it as simple as we can for us because it's extremely hard to collate information from YouTube because they're sneaky fuckers, right? Yeah. So basically what we're going to do, James says the LFC Daytrippers have surpassed Redmen and the Anfield rap. I wouldn't go that far, James, but it's good company to put us in. Two outstanding organisations with regards to Liverpool. They're probably the best two with regards to Liverpool Football Club. And if we want to be mentioned in that sort of realm, we'll take it all day. Chris Brack asks, what would Keith, Gav, Grizz sing when we get to 4,000 subscribers? Has to be Rick Astley. I'll tell you what, we will sing Rick Astley at 4,000, but our next target for the giveaway is 5,000. I know that. Head of communication, Shawnee, informed me of that this morning. So he's head of everything. I just think of a word and just make Shawnee the head of it. But so basically what we're going to do is we're going to release a short video tomorrow outlining the 3,000 subs, the prize, and how you win it. Go on in the morning. It'll be released at 10 a.m. You go on, watch the video. It'll be 6 or 7 minutes long, possibly 10. And you will be asked to put a certain word, just a certain word, in the comments, not the live chat. Well, there won't be a live chat because it'll be a pre-record. But in the comments, you are just going to put in a certain word we give you within the video, okay? You put them in, you have to do nothing else after that. We're going to take all that, we're going to stick them into a random generator, and we're going to pick out, it depends how many entries we get, but we're hoping about 100 entrants we're going to pick out, and we're going to stick them into 10 different pots. Now, we will check that you're subscribed. If you're not, you'll be thrown out. We're going to put them into 10 separate pots, and then we're going to have somebody take out a name from each pot. So we'll be left with 10 finalists, and then the golf balls come in. So what happens is I am going to take golf balls and golf clubs, possibly to a driving range or possibly just across the road from the house, and I'm going to pick a target, and I'm going to hit golf balls at a target. First shot will represent contestant 1, second shot contestant 2, third shot contestant 3, and so on, right up to 10. If I miss the first 10, we start again. And whenever I hit the target, wherever number the ball is, that person wins. So we'll do the video. Make sure you watch it. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you put the word in the comments. And then we will do the random generator, reveal the 10 finalists, and then we will do another video showing me hitting golf balls at stuff to determine a winner. I hope that's okay with everyone. And we just can't thank people enough for getting the 3,000, can we not, Chris?
No, of course not. It's an amazing feeling. And we're humbled. We truly are. I mean, you know, whoever mentioned the Anfield rap and Redmen, I mean, that's some elite company. We're a bunch of nice guys. Love talking about Liverpool, you know, and as we said the other day, our energy is the listeners and viewers. They're our energy. Otherwise, really, you know, we couldn't do it without them. We look like weirdos just talking to each other. We talk to each other every night anyway in the WhatsApp group. So, but the fact that we can share it with so many people, what we discuss and our opinions, you know, and then sort of read out their opinions. Oh, it's brilliant. Oh, God, what some cunt said now.
Thiago says, we'll do it as simple as possible, says Gav, before writing a treaty on how to win. No, all you had...
That's bad for you. That is fucking bad for you.
Because you know what? I said stupidly one day, I'll get golf balls, start hitting them at stuff, and people remember this shit. And if I don't do it, they go, oh, you said you'll fucking hit the golf balls.
It's easy for you, the subscribers. All you have to do
is watch a video and put a simple word into a comment. We'll do the fucking rest.
The nonsense comes on.
It's like this predictor A stuff. This predictor A stuff sounded like a brilliant idea, and the bleeding entrants are pissing into the email. And I'm like, I have to write these 50 answers down. I don't know how many times now. But that's the way it goes. That's the sort of stuff we do.
Excellent. And the predictor race, just for anyone that's not aware, it's a prediction game, 50 predictions. You bang them into an email, into the chat. We have a video about that as well, but it's predictor.ace@gmail.com, and you'll be in with a chance of winning prizes and that as well. So, you know, we do try to share the wealth in the Daytrippers as well and give out as many prizes as we can.
Yeah, but the only thing is, that's 50 questions, right? And one winner. There's no second, no third, no
nearest to the ball or any of that.
It's one winner, and any prize we gather between now and the end of the season is being delivered to my house, believe it or not, so I can get it all together. And I'm not going to take anything on you because I wouldn't do that. But it's all going to get here. We'll take pictures of it. We'll show you exactly what we've got from people, from sponsors who are going to sponsor us, and I'm going to box it all up and send the whole lot to the winners. The whole fucking lot.
Yeah. Excellent stuff. But there you go. It's someone, a nice little hamper for someone, you know what I mean? It's great.
Yeah.
But it's another great night. As you said, over 700 watching us tonight. We've 380 likes. You know, we appreciate the support of everyone that comes in. And we get people coming in from other clubs as well. The United lad. Yeah, the United lad came in, tried to give a bit of stick. You know, it doesn't really work here, you know what I mean? Because we're not overly serious. We just do this because we enjoy it, you know what I mean? So look, we appreciate all the support we get off everybody, and we are trying to grow this, and we are doing our best. We're trying to get on as much as we can, but with quality stuff as well rather than just quantity. So we hope you're enjoying what we're doing, and you spread the word, and everyone subscribes and likes, and we move it on, and we move it bigger, and we, you know, we try and do more. That's all we want to do, is just make the best product we can, really, isn't it?
That's it. We make the best thing we can, and we see where it takes us. Last question, though. Avo says, Grizz, a bad last hour in the test today for your lads. Great show about the PCB to fill in the delay.
It's you talk about bad last hour. We've had a bad last 2 years, to be honest with you. But Yeah, well,
After.
as long as it's
Pack
not
the
your
crease.
bagpipes, mate.
Do you,
As
was it,
long
was,
as you're not your bagpipes.
was there any underarm? Was there any
decade of
underarm?
ball tampering, Grizz.
But listen, the way I look at it, if the Pakistan team win a game on this tour, it will be a relative success. So, listen, we're here to learn. We're learning.
I thought you were talking them up big time the other day, like they were dead.
Yeah, he was.
Well, it's fluid, isn't it? It's fluid, like anything else.
Oh yeah,
fluid,
they're just terrible now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How's the crease?
Yeah, I'm not getting into this with you guys because you can drive. Yeah,
the two of us are doing your head in.
Yeah, I mean, some of the terminology that you guys have been coming out with all week about
it's good.
The underarm fast bowling with top spin.
Top spin, yeah. I don't know how the Pakistanis deal with the English, all the Yorkers and the Corkers and the Googlies and the Wooglies, but you're doing well.
I can't believe people go out and start ordering duck halfway through it. Why do people just head off for duck, Jordan? I don't get that. That's a bit mad.
Duck and a pins and a cup of tea.
He's gone mad. Look, he's gone mad just because he had trials.
You're not going to get a response from me.
Sramata one says, first time I've made it live. Cheers from Australia. Oh, that's the first mention I've ever got from Australia as well. A bit like I think it was Sweden last week, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go.
Good stuff. Thanks for joining us.
Nicky Carson, I will. Liverpool group, to all my Liverpool members, tell them about your videos. Great work. Yeah, you spread the word as much as you possibly can. Remember to subscribe. Whether you subscribe tonight or tomorrow morning, you have until after the Fatback 4 podcast on Sunday night. After that, we will stop that video and we will take all the entrance there. All right.
Excellent stuff. So that's been us tonight. We've been the Daytrippers with the Transfer Agenda show. Gav, thanks for joining me.
It's been brilliant. I enjoyed it. Really enjoyed
Excellent stuff. Grizz, thank you very much, my man.
Pleasure, pal. Always.
You look after that crease, and we'll see us all again on Sunday. Unless anything special happens in between, we'll be back on Sunday night. Take care, folks. Good night.